I do not know if I'm being overly sensitive or if I'm overthinking things. So something really crazy happened to us yesterday and I do feel some type of way about it. And I wanted to get your opinion on what happened. So yesterday I went to the dentist because I want to get braces and I needed to talk to a doctor. And I actually ended up getting a tooth taken out. I'm getting braces on Friday. Before they took my tooth out, they told me, hey, if you want to go to lunch and come back, that's going to be perfect. So I left and we found a Chinese buffet close to where we were. We had already ate there previously because that area is where Mama Lisa lives. So that's where we used to live years ago. We actually got sick from that Chinese buffet. We got stomach flu or food poisoning. I'm not really sure, but basically after eating their food, literally within hours, we were in the bathroom throwing up and diarrhea, and it was really, really nasty. And it lasted for like 2-3 days. Even though we got sick from that restaurant before, we wanted to eat there because since I was gonna get my tooth taken out, I probably was not gonna eat really well after that because I feel really self-conscious about that gap, and I feel like anything and everything would hurt it. So I wanted to eat Chinese food because it's my favorite food, and I actually really, really love buffets because it's a lot of everything, you know. So we ended up stopping at that Chinese buffet. We figured that so many years have already passed by, maybe like 3 to 4 years passed by already. We probably wouldn't get sick or any, you know, we kind of were over it. So we stopped there for lunch. When we get there, there is a Hispanic guy right in front of us and there is a white couple behind us. And this lady comes and she was kind of rude. She yelled at the guy. She was like, how many? And he was like, 1. And then she yelled at us. She was like, how many? And we were like, 2. And then she yelled at the people behind us and she was like, how many? And then they were like 2. And then she told us specifically, like the guy in front of us who is Hispanic and us, me and my husband, Alex. And she was like, come with me, come with me. And I stopped because I thought for a second, everything happened so fast. So for a second, I thought that she thought that we were with the guy in front of us. So I wanted to slow down and tell her, hey, it's just us 2 and him. He's separate. And she turns around, she's like, you too, come, you know? So I'm like, oh, okay, maybe she knows that we're not together. And she left the white couple behind us. I didn't think anything of it. Okay, so let's say this is the whole restaurant. This is the layout of the restaurant, right? This right here is one room. This right here is another room. And right in the middle, you have all of the buffet food, like all of the food is in the middle. So the lady took us immediately to the left, us and that Hispanic guy. So once we go into that room, there was such a bad smell coming out of that room. It smelled like wet dog and poop. And like immediately, it's like just slapped you in the face. And Alex was like, we're gonna have to tell her that we need to move because I cannot eat here. I really had to pee. So I let her like sit us down at a table, and there were other Hispanics there already. There were 1, 2, 3. There were 3 tables already. And then with the guy and us, it was gonna be 5 tables of Hispanics only. So I let her sit us down. She took our order, like what waters do we wanted. Alex and I went to the bathroom. The bathrooms were on the other side of the restaurant. Once we were done, we came out, and I was hoping that maybe we already got used to the smell, you know, because sometimes you go somewhere and you can really smell something, but then you get used to it and it goes away and like you're able to do what you were going to do. So I was hoping that maybe we didn't smell that smell anymore, but as soon as we got there, it hit you. And it was something unbearable. Like I'm telling you, it was so disgusting. I don't understand why there were other people sitting there eating. But Alex and I just could not get over it. And we grabbed our food because on the way back from the bathroom, we stopped to get our food. We grabbed our food from the table and we went to go look for our waitress, and we told her, we were like, hey, you know, can we move to the other side of the restaurant? And she was like, no, it's not possible. And I kind of looked at her and I was like, no, because I did not understand why we couldn't move to the other side of the restaurant. And I told her, I was like, it smells kind of weird here and we would like to move to the other side, please. And I try to be as kind and friendly as I could, but still addressing the issue that we had. And this lady literally looked at me and she said, well, maybe it's the workers. And I literally just looked at her, because even saying that to you right now, it makes me feel some type of way. And I looked at her and I just couldn't say anything. Like, I was kind of in shock and I didn't really know how to respond to that. And I thought it was extremely disrespectful what she said. And no, it was not the workers, because let's be real, like the entire room, it was kind of closed. That room where we were put in was kind of closed, and it didn't really have good ventilation like the other side of the restaurant. So Alex and I, before we even asked her to be moved, we assumed that what was smelling was the carpet. We're like, the carpet smells like probably a lot of like food and water and soda has been spilled on it, and maybe it has mold, it hasn't been cleaned well, it needs to be replaced. But when we addressed this to the waitress, what she thought was the problem was the construction workers that were sitting at their restaurant eating their food. And I just thought that was such a disrespectful thing to say. And she said it right there, because we were at the entrance of that room, and like to the left of the room, there were all of these Hispanic people eating. And she honestly, like, flat out just said it. Like, she didn't really care. She didn't even whisper it. She just flat out said it, like, maybe it's the workers. And I just didn't know what to say. And I think that when she realized, because I didn't say anything, and I think she kind of might have realized that she messed up in what she said, she just left. Like, she walked off and she left Alex and I standing at the entrance of this room with like our hands full of plates. And she came back within like a minute. She came back and she stopped by our table to get our drinks, because Alex and I had our plates. So we left our drinks there, and she got our drinks and she was like, follow me. And she took us to the other side of the restaurant. I'm shaking. I'm like, oh. I know you guys are gonna say like, oh, well, why didn't you say anything to her? I don't like confrontation either. It's just something that really like trips me out, and I just don't like it. I'm not a confrontational person. We went to the other side of the restaurant, and as we were walking back, I'm still kind of like in shock. So I'm looking around because I'm thinking, I'm like, why would she say no? Like, is it for the tip? Like, does she want the tip? Or is it because there's no tables available? And I started looking around and I realized there were so many tables available. It was crazy. Like, yes, there were people sitting and eating, but there were still tables to where there's no way as to why she couldn't move us. And then I started realizing something. There were no Hispanics on that side of that restaurant. I kind of lost my appetite at that point. Out of nowhere, I kind of tell Alex, I told him, I'm like, you realize there is literally no Hispanic sitting on this side of the restaurant, right? Like, we're like the only Hispanic sitting over here. And he stops eating and he looks around and he's like, what the hell? Like, I didn't even notice that. And I'm like, I noticed that ever since she brought us to this side of the restaurant. And I told him, I'm like, you notice that where she sat us originally, there's nothing but Hispanics. On that smelly, stinky, disgusting room, there's only Hispanics over there. And he was kind of like shocked. And he was like, oh my God, how did you even like realize that? And I'm like, she came off in such a weird way that I just started to look around. I just started to kind of like absorb everything that was going on around me, and like kind of like connecting things in my own head. People were coming in and we started paying more attention to those people, and we realized that if they were Hispanic, they would always be sat to the left. They were always getting sent to that stinky room. And if they were not Hispanic, if they were any other race, they were sitting to the right, to where we weren't allowed to go. I was really not even eating at that point. I lost all my appetite, and I had like this like empty feeling in my stomach, and I was just thinking, I'm like, are we experiencing something right now? Are we like going through something? Or am I overthinking this? Am I being a little too like, am I being prejudiced? Am I being too sensitive? Or like, what's going on? And then Alex spotted that from that room, they were walking over this Hispanic guy, one guy by himself, and they were walking him over, and they sat him by this area. I just felt like they were dividing the people, and they were putting all of the Hispanics into that one disgusting room. And in my opinion, it was probably because Hispanics tend not to be confrontational and they tend to just ride it along. And I think the restaurant was taking advantage of those people, and they were putting them in that disgusting room to eat because they knew that they probably would not speak up and say anything about it. So I was talking to Alex and I was telling him what I was thinking, what was on my mind regarding the subject. And I was telling him that I wanted to record it, I wanted to film it. And by that time, somebody passed behind us, right? Because we were on a booth, and Alex was like, I think she might have heard you. And I'm like, nah, she didn't hear me. She's probably on her own world. She don't care. And by the time that we were signing the check and everything, I pulled out my phone and I was recording a little bit, and I realized that there was this waitress lady standing right there, like by the aisle where you walk, and she was kind of like looking at us. And I felt some type of way. I felt shy. I felt embarrassed. I don't know why. I didn't get to film. I wanted to show you guys that room that we were in, and then I wanted to kind of walk to the other room undetected, hopefully by the workers, and like show you guys how they had all of the Hispanic people over there on that room. But unfortunately, that lady was standing right there, and I feel like she might have heard the conversation that was going on between me and my husband, and she probably got like on alert, and she knew that we were on to them, and she was literally like right there, and she almost like walked us out of the restaurant. You know, it's such a sad thing to say that people experience things like this in 2023. Y'all, the craziest thing is that we saw so many Hispanics walk into that restaurant. And I, as a Hispanic, person, I really genuinely enjoy Chinese food. It's one of my favorite foods. So, it was a really bad feeling to know that these people were taking advantage. They didn't really care about the smell when they were putting people there to eat. As we were driving down the street to go back to the dentist's office, we realized that there was a whole nother buffet opening up on that same street. And let me let you in on something really quick. That restaurant that we were eating at is one of the only, if not the only, Chinese buffet in that area where Mama Lisa lived. And when we were driving down the street, we realized that they were opening up a whole nother buffet. Instantly, I just felt like it was karma. I just had this feeling of like, that's what y'all get. Because more than likely, you guys are going to lose your business for being so like greedy, for not wanting to clean or replace your carpet and putting your customers in that area. I personally feel like nobody should be put in that area. The fact that they were literally separating Hispanics only and putting them in that room, it is really disgusting. I truly do believe in karma. And I feel like if you are a bitter person, a greedy person, a mean person, only bad things would happen to you. Like, that's it. Bad things will happen to you. Eventually, things will catch up to you. And if you're a nice person and you're kind and you're only putting positivity out in the world, only good things can happen to you. Like that, I honestly believe in that. And I feel like the karma of that restaurant is that there is another buffet opening up down the street, and it's gonna be new, and it's probably going to be better, and you're probably going to lose your clientele. So I just kind of wanted to rant and tell you guys basically what happened to us yesterday. Let me know that in the comments. What do you think? Do you think that I was being overly sensitive? Do you think that maybe I was overthinking the subject a little bit too much? Or do you think that maybe, yeah, something fishy, something weird was definitely going on? That is the end of this video. I love you guys so much.